Hi, welcome to my channel. How are you doing? I hope you are doing okay. I'm a doctor in training. My name is Luben. I make videos based on health. I also give medical advice as well as relationship. So in this particular video, I'll be talking about reasons why it's very difficult to forget someone, most especially someone you've been in a relationship with. Now, I know it's very difficult sometimes for most people who are very attached and emotionally involved with one another. So what are those clinical reasons or psychological reasons why it's difficult for you to forget that person once you guys are not together anymore? So if you are new to the channel, subscribe. Don't forget, also turn on the notification bell so that anytime I release a video like this, you can definitely follow up. So let's get into the video. Right now, most times people who get into a relationship, right, not all the cases, right, but most times there is always someone who is a beloved, like someone who is getting the attention, and then there's someone else who's giving the attention. It happens like that most of the times. So it could be that the girl is actually giving all the attention and all the love, and then the guy is enjoying it, or it could be the guy is giving all the attention and the love, meanwhile the girl is enjoying. And it's mostly like that for simps or for beginners or for people who don't have more experience in relationship. For the guys, they want to give everything into the relationship to make sure the girl is happy, and then sometimes it ends up that the girl enjoys all the attention and the love but then does not love back. But then we're talking about situations where two of these people are heavily attached or in a deep relationship, and then something happened. Probably the guy decides to break it up or the girl decides to break it up. Why is it difficult? And then I know sometimes these things can make people depressed. So why is it difficult for you to forget that person? And the first things first is this: there is a particular hormone, it's known as dopamine. And whenever someone is in love, this particular hormone, dopamine, is released at a very high degree in the brain. And this hormone is like, let's say it's a pleasure hormone, right? It makes the brain to relax. It relaxes the whole body. It makes the brain to feel some certain feelings. You know, all those butterfly feelings that people will be talking about, all those feelings of goosebumps and the rest, is because of this particular hormone. In fact, this hormone is very powerful in people that masturbate. If you notice people who masturbate a lot and they cannot stop, it's because a part of their brain has secreted this particular hormone to a particular point in time that the brain can actually regenerate impulses with this hormone. So whenever they think about, or they see a woman, or they think about masturbation, the only thing that comes into their mind is to masturbate, because they want to have that feeling, that dopamine feeling again. So people who are in love, they have this hormone that is secreted to a high degree in their brains, and it makes them more connected with one another. So when they break up, right, when there's a breakup, you notice that because the brain is kind of on itself regenerating these impulses, it will make them remember that person more. Now remember, it's not because they were together they could remember each other, it's the distance. Now their brain starts thinking that person is not there. So let's say something you've always, if you wake up every day, there's this clock on top of your door, your bedroom. Every single day you wake up, you see that clock. Every single day of your life you wake up, you see that clock. The day you don't see that clock there, the only thing you'll be thinking about for that whole particular day is that clock. Why is this so? Because now your brain all of a sudden does not see that image. So the only thing that will help the brain to relax in that situation is to release that dopamine again. And when that happens, you want to get that feeling again. And that feeling is what? To see that clock. So the same thing, whenever the brain starts regenerating those impulses and the hormone is released, the only thing they think about is that person. So the only thing that comes into their mind at that particular point is that person. So it becomes very difficult. The only thing that will help that person is over time. So let's say the neurons that help or make these impulses to be generated, over time they need to stop generating those impulses. And the only way they can do that is if that dopamine has stopped, like its action has reduced. So if the dopamine is increased, it means those impulses can also be generated. So the only way to stop is if the dopamine is not released, it means those impulses cannot be released, most especially the one that will remind them of that person. That's why it takes time, because it takes time for them to forget that person, most especially the one who they were so much in love with. The second one is the emotional attachment. Now, a person who is a person you are heavily invested in emotionally, you discover that there are sometimes they understand you on a very high degree. Sometimes they understand you more than you understand yourself, or sometimes you understand them more than they understand themselves. So whenever there's a breakup, they tend to try to imagine if they could ever see that type of a person again. So say for the male, when they break up with the girl, they try to imagine if they could ever see a girl like that again. And then for the girls, they also try to imagine if they could ever meet someone as good as that person. So because why? Because the brain already has made them to generate these impulses that is causing dopamine to be released, and it's making them feel good. So in order to feel that goodness, they try to imagine if there's anybody else that will make them feel that good. And it takes them back to that same reason that I said, it will just keep reminding them of that person, and becomes really, really difficult. And the third one, which is subtle, like most people don't notice, is this: it's the physical attachment as well. Now, maybe your relationship does not involve any kind of physical contact, but for those that involve that kind of physical contact, let's say a woman who has been in the relationship with a guy for 7 years, they love themselves to some certain degree, right? So what if the woman becomes horny? You know, the person she's going to think about is the guy. What if the guy becomes horny? To some extent, maybe the guy might not really think about the lady, because women have sex to being emotionally invested in. Before a woman have sex with you, it means she has to be emotionally comfortable with you. That's why it becomes difficult for them to forget that aspect. A man can have sex with another girl and still be in love with another one. Now, I know women kind of find it hard to believe that it's possible. Yes, it's possible, because men have sex not because they're emotionally invested into that woman. Sometimes they have the sex because of their sexual pleasures. It's different from the emotional attachment. So you could be angry that he cheated on you, but he could still love you. So for the male, sometimes the physical contact, they can easily let off that steam by just going out having a random girl to have sex with, and it will not really affect them. But for the female, because the emotions are really attached or invested into the sexual part of their life, it becomes difficult for them. So these are the three most basic reasons why it's difficult for you to forget the person you've broken up with, or the person you've once loved. And it takes time. So over time, the memories, and it's because of the memories you've had with them, it fades. And if that memory starts fading, that's when you'll be able to forget these people. And how can you do that? My suggestion is, if there's anything that is attaching you to that person, let's say pictures, clothes, books, or if there's anything, materialistic things, or maybe anything, if you still have their phone numbers on your phone, if you still have their pictures on your phone, you will always remember them. It's like you can't cheat nature. The only way you can start forgetting them slowly, if you get rid of those things that make you reminded of them. So if you don't get rid of those things, it will be difficult. That's why if you notice some people, when they lost someone in debt particularly, they will make sure they pack all the pictures, sometimes all the clothes, every single thing that was related to that person, and they will go and store it somewhere. It's not because they don't like the person anymore, it's because they don't want to be reminded of that person. Because every single time you see anything that relates to that person, you will always remember them. So this is just the basic ultimate suggestion that I have that will probably help you to forget that person. Not for you to go into a depressive mode, because to some people, you might go into a depression depending on how invested you are, or how invested you were in that relationship. But if you were not really, because there are some people that break hearts for a living, so they might not really get to feel all of that. But for those who are really invested, you might be depressed for some time, but you just have to make sure you get rid of the things that make you remember them, and it will be much easier for you. So thank you for watching. My name is Lubem. Like I said one more time, subscribe to the channel if you are new, turn on the notification bell so that anytime I release a video like this, you can follow up. Thank you for watching.